And then the organic police come in and start freaking out and say, well, why isn't Wyman's organic? And they don't even realize that wild is above organic. And they don't even know wild is above organic. They don't know that. And that's a whole sad thing all on its own. I talked about that the other day. People think organic is holy, can't do no wrong. You know, like holy and godly. They don't realize, yeah, we have to eat organic food. Heck yeah, but they don't realize that organic food's loaded with copper spray and nicotine spray to kill the pollinators and they don't know it kills the pollinators. It kills the pollinators, and organic isn't all crapped up to be. Right? Wild food, right, doesn't need to be cared for. So what happens is then you barely spray ever. You can go years without spraying a wild food source. Meanwhile, organic farms are conventional farms. Did you guys know that? The organic farms came after conventional produce, conventional farms. Organic farm companies bought conventional farmland and started planting the stuff. The soil saturated with pesticides and chemicals. And so people don't realize they're growing all their organic food out of pesticide-ridden soil. Meanwhile, a wild food gets sprayed so very little, and the soil was never sprayed to begin with from a conventional farm, so it's pure soil down there. They don't get this. Okay, so wild blueberries, a wild food, tends to itself almost always. That means bugs don't come and hurt the wild food because the wild food will hurt the bug. Keep that in mind. If there ever is a situation where there is a bug affecting a certain part of a field somewhere, then yeah, Wyman's will use a spray, but they won't use a pollinator killer. And then they test their berries and they test them out and they find there's 0% pesticide residue. But here's the thing. Organic farmers don't test their food for you as a consumer to make sure you don't have any nicotine in your organic produce, MSG in your organic produce, and copper. They're not testing for that. They're under the blanket term organic produce. Keep that in mind too. And then some of the people, which is really crazy, some of the people that will actually complain and say, well, Wyman's Wild Blueberry Juice is not organic. That same person ate at a restaurant 2 weeks ago and had conventional sprayed food. That was sprayed though. Sprayed to shit. Not like a wild food that rarely gets sprayed and they tested for 0% pesticide, right? Instead, they're in a restaurant somewhere traveling. They're sitting there on their high horse saying how, wild blueberries aren't organic. And they're sitting there in some restaurant eating 2 or 3 items in their dish that was completely conventional and highly sprayed. So keep that in mind too. There's a big difference between organic and wild. Wild is a food above organic. No matter what, wild is above organic. And that's the incredible part of it all. But organic produce is sprayed 3 times a week with pollinator killers, and that's not helping the bees. Wyman's doesn't hurt their bees. Keep that in mind. And they spray only when they need to, rarely, depending. And when they do, they monitor it. And they don't use a pollinator killer. And that's absolutely incredible because it's a wild food and it takes care of itself. So this is like a really important education on organic food. When I go to the store, right, and I see some organic produce, I buy the organic produce, but I don't buy it ignorantly. I don't buy it that way. I buy it going, that's probably got a load of copper and MSG on it. That's probably got a load of nicotine on it. And I'm going to wash my organic produce when I bring it home because I know it's got nicotine residue, MSG residue, and copper residue. I don't have to worry about that when I'm drinking my wild blueberry juice. It's like freedom because it's a wild food. But when I go to the store, that's what I see. I see food because I see everything, right? Because that's just who I am. And so I don't have blinders on. I'm not allowed to have blinders on. I have to see everything for what it is. Janessa says, I love when AW shines truth through the brainwashing. Exactly, brainwashing. Organic fields are so heavily laden in nicotine and copper, it is almost disturbing and disgusting. But yet, I still choose organic food because organic's better than standard, conventional, cultivated, conventional produce. Organic is better than that produce. Wild food is different. It's above all of them. Wild food is above conventional produce and above organic produce. It's above both of them. And that's how it works. Really important to know. Because I know that people get on their holy horse and they're just like, let's slay AW. Let's take him down because he doesn't know like what. And they just want to take me down. It's like, oh, all you're doing is just like being like ridiculous because you don't know what's going on. And that's how it works. Because people are confused and be like, oh, it's not organic. But what they don't understand, and this is important to know, when you have, I'm pro-organic food, but I'm also aware that organic crops are sprayed 3 times a week with pollinator killers. Organic food crops are sprayed 3 times a week with pollinator killers, nicotine. So don't give me that you're holier than now crap and how this is a wild food and, oh, why isn't it organic? So I'm not going to use that. I'm all about organic. Don't give me that holier than now shit about that, because what happens is people don't realize it, that our organic food is also laced. It's laced with nicotine, MSG, and other stuff. And what people don't realize is they have to spray the crap out of organic food or all the aphids come and rip it apart. So they're loaded with copper in the spray, like the toxic copper in organic spray, and nicotine. So here we are. So what I'm saying is that's a wild food that rarely needs to ever be sprayed because a wild food can tend to itself and protect itself. A wild food actually protects itself. So what that means is rarely does it ever get sprayed. And Wyman's will not use a pollinator killer. If they ever do need to spray, they won't use a pollinator killer. What does that mean? Why? Here's the difference. This wild food, they won't kill their bees. Organic crops, they kill their bees. Important to know right there. So they also test and they get 0% in their tests of pesticides. But guess what? Your organic food companies won't test to make sure you have 0% nicotine and 0% copper from their sprays. So every time you see it, and I see in the comments that holier than now stuff, like, oh, it's not organic, medical medium doesn't know what he's talking about. So let me just give you the 101 right now. Your organic crops get sprayed with copper, toxic copper, and toxic nicotine, and it ends up killing all the bees and the pollinators. And they get sprayed rapidly because organic crops can't take care of itself. It's too weak. This is a wild food. And I eat organic food. I'm just telling you, this is a wild food. They rarely ever have to spray anything. And if they do, they refuse to use a pollinator killer and they test it 0% pesticide residue. And here's the other thing. The organic food companies, they're not testing to make sure you're not getting nicotine and copper. Remember that. This is an important piece of information and it's mind-blowing. How come Wyman's isn't organic? Do they use pesticides? So I can answer that. Okay, so Wyman's is a wild food. It's a wild food. And so wild blueberries, they take care of themselves for almost all of what they need. They take care of themselves. And a cultivated blueberry, you have to, whether it's organic, a cultivated blueberry, whether it's organic or it's conventional, it has to be sprayed 3 times a week. So the organic blueberries, they have to be sprayed. The cultivated organic blueberries have to be sprayed. The cultivated blueberry, whether it's conventional, it has to be sprayed, right? So, and the thing is with sprays, and you have to realize that sprays are a catch-22. So the organic sprays are a catch-22. And I talked about how what's in those things. But what Wyman's does is, because the crops take care of themselves, they can pick and choose where they spray, and they don't use pollinator killers. And so it's only a part of a crop certain time of year or 1 year. And a year could go by and they don't do it all. Another year could go by and they don't do it all. And their berries got the 0 pesticide residue because of this, because a wild food sustains itself and takes care of itself. And the thing is with wild foods that are really important, wild foods, like the wild blueberries, are better than organic. So that's another thing too. So wild food is better than organic. So that, keep that in mind. And so what's incredible about this food is because the plants protect themselves to such a degree, you don't have to be spraying, because that's it. And that's what's incredible about it. So if you get like a fly that comes from South America and it's once every couple of years and it gets bad at one little area of a crop or something, and then they got to spray, but they don't use the pollinator killers. And now vegetables are different. The conventional vegetables, conventional fruits, they get sprayed 3-4 times a week with pollinator killers. And really bad sprays, just 3-4 times a week. Whole entire different thing. And but anyway, some info there.